I am Pat Coates, and I was Pat Locke, LLC, on Ricketts Farm for many years. We had such a good time growing up with the horses and the cows and the sheep, what have you.
Christmas trees.
Oh yeah, Christmas time was an event that we never did find a big enough Christmas tree. So the kids would tramp around for how long? And sometimes you took a lunch with you because they were going to be so long at picking out the right tree. And I had a friend that came out to live here, and she wanted to go looking for Christmas trees, and she came in a fur coat. Well, we just laughed ourselves crazy. Well, my dad came from Barnstable in England, and my mother was born here, and her mother came with a group of English people to settle here, and her dad was an American, so I don't know how he got here. Anyway, I had a picture of them camping, and they're all dolled up in great-looking clothes. I was always down and around the barns. A horse barn and a cow barn and a dairy. And later on, where the pigs were held. So we had just about every kind of animal. My dad would go out in his boat and come back with dead sheep hanging. I saw a good bargain. He was terrible. Never knew what he was going to bring back. Or a donkey or something. My dad, like my kids called my dad Gaffer. And so Dennis, he was off, and when he could go. I think they went all over Sanish. I know my dad did. He didn't need a name on his back, because everybody, even today I talk to people, I say, do you know Art Locke? And they start laughing. He was a character. Yeah. So I don't think many people know how busy the farm was when they came up from Hollywood to take movies. And they would have lights on all over the farmyard, and they were making a movie, and they had Rin Tin up here for a while with his caretaker, and it was quite exciting. And I came home from a dance one night, and the whole, like it was a valley, a barnyard, I was all lit up in lights, and I thought it was on fire. And so they were just taking movies, And it was quite exciting for us in those days. However, they were up quite a while, quite a lot of different times. And of course they would be all about horses and stuff. So they were shooting a movie that my dad was driving a team of horses on a whole wagon. And so that was exciting for us. And then when the movie came to town, we all had to go and see Dad. There he is. Yeah, so that was exciting for us. Right. Yeah, that was a lovely farm. And eventually, when they started to break up, we heard the rumors they were going to put a golf course all in around the swamp. Oh, we call it, what do they call it? A bog. So, yeah, of course we knew that it was a bog because my dad lost a couple of cows when they couldn't find them. They were sinking down, you know. And we used to have a lot of different people come out, and they'd wander around the farm and they'd look at plants, and they found a lot of seashells in the bog. And one man decided that the Carova Bay at one time came right through the bog, and it went on to another river. Never really found out whether it was true, but he'd found shells down there, so that's why he thought the ocean had come through. And when you look at the landscape, you can see how it could have at one time come through. So yeah, we had an interesting life there. It was wonderful. I didn't really like school. Anyway, we had Mr., what was his name, Harmon? Do you remember Mr. Harmon? He was the principal. And he was a great guy. He had this big open car with all tops down. And at lunchtime, he would fill it with the kids and he'd take them to Elk Lake for a swim. And of course we all thought that was pretty nice. And he stayed for a few years, and then he ended up as a lawyer in town. No, I was never in the little.
Oh, I bet you were.
No, I don't think so. No, because I think Buster, I don't think so. Because I'm old, how can I remember?
Now you can have cupcakes.
Yeah, right. I remember Miss Rankin, I think I mentioned her. What was her name?
Noreen.
Her dad was a chief police, and she taught in that little school for a while. So I remember the Oliver kids and the Pinlots. They had the big grocery store right by the school. It's still there. And when I walked in here, somebody said, "Do you know Norm Pinlot?" I couldn't believe it. I thought, I never knew he was alive. He'd been away for working. And yeah, they were a big family. So yeah, they were quite interesting. And of course, then I ended up at the, what's the name of the hall?
Yes.
We used to go square dancing there.
Institute Hall?
Yeah, right. The Women's Institute. And it's still there, and it's really old. Must be older than me.
And it's still being used.
Yeah. Very surprising. Yeah. It was well built. Well, same as I never ever thought when I was walking up to school to go past the store and the municipal hall that I would end up working there. Not in my dreams. You never know what you're going to end up doing. So, besides getting old. I can always remember Massey's. You remember Massey's garage?
Yes.
Right down by the hall. Massey's, and the blacksmith man was there. Mm-hmm.
Do you remember who ran it?
Percy, something.
Percy.
It would come to me in the middle of the night. Percy, yeah, he was there for years. And I think every time I go by there, I think of, the service station and the blacksmith.
How did you get to school, Pat?
I had to walk.
How
It
far?
wasn't far at the time, the house was
Yeah.
just down a bit. And, but then when I got to high school and I had to bike to Mount View High School.
Tell us about your chores on the farm when you were a young girl. What did you have to do?
Well, I was lucky. My dad didn't believe that women should be in the barn. and I wanted to learn to milk a cow. And he'd say, no, once you start, you're never going to be able to quit. But anyway, I tried it. And so I don't remember he was there, but I tried it, and of course, in 2.5 seconds, I ended up in the gutter. So I wasn't doing something right. So that was the end. I said, he's right, and I was wrong.
Did you have a big family garden where you grew your
No,
own
we
vegetables?
didn't have a. Well, we did have some garden. I never worked in that, but we always had our own horses and did a lot of riding. We had a lot of young people come from Victoria, because in those days we were 5 miles out, and why are you living way out, in the boonies? But a lot of of course, the friends of my brother Brewster would come out to ride the horses. And we'd pack a lunch and go out, a whole bunch of us, go out for the day. It's hard to believe it, but we just used to play cops and robbers and all this stuff, I did this once. I got grown up and I got working as a hairdresser. And one time, a group of friends came out and wanted to go riding. So we started out like we used to in the morning. And when I tried to get out of bed, I couldn't move. I could hardly walk. Oh, I couldn't believe it. It didn't take much to put me off. So, but they were fun times and good memories, So Buster, he built a little place not too far from the old house, and he got a tent, and he and his friends, they'd go out and sleep overnight in the tent. It wasn't way in the bush or anything, but anyway, this is what their thing to do, And they quite enjoyed that for years.
Your dad was a butcher, wasn't he?
Yeah,
Did
he
you go
was.
around to different farms?
Yeah, well, yeah. When he came out, his picture was in the paper recently of a butcher shop in Esquimalt.
Oh.
And this is where they all started out. I think there were 2 daughters and 5 sons, and they all came out from England and built this butcher shop. So recently, it was there for years. But,
Tell them about
Huh?
around Christmas time. And they have the turkeys.
oh yeah, well, this is what the picture that they showed in the paper. And it was all the turkeys and all the meat hanging outside. I wonder if they were up high. There was a 2-story building. So they were hanging up, and today they'd be gone. But they were still, there. Yeah, so it was hard work for them too. And then eventually, my grandfather thought my dad should go up to Cobble Hill on a farm to raise stuff for the butcher shop. So this is where they ended up. And that's where, when I was a baby, but they weren't there that long. And they would have to come over the Malahat, and it was not a highway. And in those days, the trucks were all open and so old. And they go up the Malahat, and the car or the truck would start to steam, and they'd have to stop and wait. And my mother would have to get out, find a big rock, to put behind the wheels of the truck, you know. She said, I walked every foot of this hill. And it was
Worse than that.
it was hard work for them. So that was pioneering, you know.
And didn't your dad do a lot of?
Oh,
was
yeah.
that part of his?
Oh yes, yeah. Well,
Seems to me I remember that.
he did. Yeah, well, of course, I think they were in the butcher business in England, you know.
Used to get
So
into
this is-
butcher their deer
Oh yeah, oh sure, yeah,
for
yeah.
hunters.
Yeah, that's where Dennis learned it all from. Yeah. Well, now they don't have to go anywhere just to shoot a deer. They're right in your back door.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, they were a good, I think, you know, one of the best upbringings
Yeah.
that we had. We used to go up at the hay loft and build bales of hay and make a big fort and ruin the bales. You know. Yeah, we're lucky. We just, and at that time we were on the farm. We used to have our lot. We had a lot of sheep. And then there was the health center. You remember? You remember that. And it's still standing. Nursing home, is it?
Yeah. But no, I mean where the pup is, that,
On glass.
Oh, no, it was Bill Horseman.
oh, Horseland.
Horseland.
Horseland's comes, oh, that's.
Yeah,
that's
they
interesting.
live there.
Because
Yeah.
their name keeps coming up in our,
Oh, does it? Yeah. Yeah, he was a character too. Yeah. And that's still going.
I imagine you mostly associated with other farmers, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah, he was the one side of the Quadra Street. We
Yes.
were the other.
Right.
You know, and nothing but, and Pat Welch.
Oh,
Did
yes.
you not? Yeah, you must have heard it, yeah.
Mhm. He taught me.
And his
children.
sister Mary. He lived with his sister Mary.
Yes, they were our next door neighbors.
Yeah,
when Joe and I
right,
got married.
right. Yeah, isn't that funny when you start remembering people?
That's right, that's what happens.
Yeah,
Triggers something.
remember
else.
who's around. So yeah.
Where kids grew up.
When I was married for the first time, we built a house up where it is now. I'm surprised it's still standing.
They raised it up. I think they added a
Yeah,
story to
yeah,
it.
yeah. We were right on rock. Yeah.
And then your father's house was the other side of Hepworth's Roses, wasn't it?
Yes,
And it's
yeah,
still there.
yeah. And Patty Walsh owned that property, or that farm there. And I think my dad had to get down on his hands and knees and beg for this lot to build a house on. They didn't want to sell it, but they did. And it was a nice spot. Anyway, well, that's about it. Did you know McKenzie? The McKenzies live right across from our farmhouse
No.
in Quadra. They were there.
Remember the Catteralls?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And
Right.
Tom Scott.
Who?
Tom Scott. He was right opposite the
I
Stone
know.
House pretty well. Oh, you remember?
Well, the kids I knew, Gene
I didn't know.
Gene Scott. The father was a publisher of the paper,
I think he
or
was.
of a paper, not a paper, but.
We bought our first car from him, $800.
Oh, did
He
you?
saw us coming.
Oh, I didn't know he had sold. I thought he was in the paper business.
Well, we bought a car from him. It was
Oh,
an old Chevy.
He was a
I remember
little-
the year.
short Scotchman, was it?
Yeah, but his housekeeper, Amelia,
Oh,
and then she
I
finally married
know
him.
so well. Yes.
And then she was great friends with Joe's mother.
Oh,
They were
oh,
good friends.
very, yeah. Amelia was a great friend of my aunt's.
Oh, really?
Oh, we remember it that
What
quite
aunt
well.
is that?
Pardon?
Who was your aunt?
Marjorie Holman, my mother's sister.
Oh.
And she was a city girl. She was never out with us. Yeah.
Well, when I
Oh,
first met Joe, his family owned, like from Pat Walsh's up to Beckwith.
Yeah.
And then about the same equidistant down Quadra Street.
yeah.
And then they were sort of debating about selling it then. And then once they started selling it.
Yeah, I went, yeah. Yeah, oh yeah. I
That was
heard
the
it.
beginning of the big change, I think.
Yes, it was. It was too bad. Now look what we started.
Yeah.
Not good. However, it's gonna get worse before it gets better, I think. We're gonna be like New York.
Just start going straight up instead of.
Yeah. Yeah, I was very lucky compared to what they put up with today, you know. And I think, you know, some of these people that are moving here are bringing mom and dad. I think they're pretty smart. We're all going to live together and not have to worry, you know, about anything.
These are kind of useful sometimes.
Yeah. They are. So remember the Olivers lived here?
I don't, but their name comes up.
Is it just up here?
Yeah.
Joe again? Joe and
Well,
Oliver?
Well, yeah,
The parents.
the parents, they owned a farm down here.
No.
And remember Joe Jones?
Yes, it's just going to ask you that.
Yeah.
And his son Art Jones.
Oh, yeah. You forget about them and you wonder where they are, what they're doing, you know. I think Art was up Island. I
He
think he,
started that coffee shop at Royal Oak there, where the hairdresser was, but he started
Oh,
a
did
coffee
he?
shop there.
Oh.
If you want,
Right.
there for a while. I remember going there. It wasn't
Yeah.
very big.
you remember the people in the post office? What were their names? Susan? And who the people? Oh, I didn't think I'd forget her. Dorothy would deliver the paper, and they lived on that next to the post office. They had a bit of a farm there.
Jackson.
Oh, Dorothy
She's
Jack.
still alive.
What?
She's still alive.
No, oh.
She's in her 90s.
Oh, she's older than that, 'cause she was older than me.
Well, I spoke to her daughter not too long ago, Elma, the eldest daughter,
Oh my,
and she's in a home somewhere in Victoria.
oh my
I
gosh.
don't know which
Oh
one.
yeah, she was a character, yeah.
She
remember
worked
her.
hard. She was the janitor
I know.
at Royal Oak School
Yeah.
for all those years.
Well, I remember the one that was a janitor, we call him Pops Foster. And he was David Foster's grandfather
Oh,
or something. And we always called him
Daryl's on there.
Pops.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah. Dorothy Jackson, she was,
And do you remember the Coopers that lived up there that had a parrot? And they used to keep the parrot out at the end of the driveway.
Now, is that where the post office was?
I think it was up there.
And
I
then
don't
after
remember
that,
it
she
being
had a
there.
little store.
Yes, yeah, just a little
Yeah, it was
stall
Mrs.
type
Cooper.
of thing.
yeah, yeah,
And
I
they
just,
had that parrot there always. What did they have on that stand? It was more like a stand, wasn't it?
it's still alive?
No, I'm trying to remember that. I don't think it was really a store, was it?
Well, it was the old post office, and she just had ice cream and chocolate bars.
Oh.
Thing I recall.
I wish I could
Yeah,
remember.
yeah, those were the good old days. We didn't realize.
No. And Bill Jackson, he
Oh,
worked
yeah.
at the Royal Oak Burial.
Yeah,
Right?
yes, and yeah. It's funny how you don't think you'll forget, but you do.
So what do you remember of working at Saanich Municipal Hall?
Oh, well, you know.
It was a great place. to
It
work,
was wonderful. I had such a good job. I knew I just was a Dumbo at Tigger's. Well, that's where you got it. And it was something that I'd never had to deal with. And then when Myra Hodgson, do you remember
Yes,
Myra?
I do. Right there.
And Edith. And
Edith.
then I had to get a job. And Mara was very, very good to me. She knew that there was a job coming up, and so I do nothing. I couldn't even type. I went to Sprott Shaw for a bit, but I never had to do it. They'd keep me away from that. But it was, I just fell into something that I could do, and I was balancing tax income for Saanich, all the money that people were paying. I had to balance thousands. I just thought, pardon?
Ken Middleton?
Yeah, Kevin Millen was, he was
You
just,
took over my job, I think, on the Sensomatic. Did you put out the tax bills?
yeah.
Well, I did too. That was my job, and you
Oh,
took
yeah.
that
Oh, no.
over.
No, you never did that, because all these automatic machines, when I went, I was pushing it. The things were going up and down, oh my God, and noisy. But computers came in, that's when
There was no computers when I was there.
I started this, when the computer, but the machine that printed it was monstrous. It was a bang class.
Yeah.
It was a,
It was called a Sensomatic.
oh, I don't know what it was called. It was when you're
Because
working.
I put out all the assessment notices and
Oh,
all the
yeah,
tax bills.
yeah, I remember those.
Yeah, that was my job, and then for 2 months of the year, there was nothing to do, and we used to play hangman. I
And-
tried to look busy. It was horrible.
And was John Tribe still there?
Yes.
And did his boys ever come in?
No.
Oh, no. They were, you know the Tribe boys.
My aunt babysat those 4 children when
Oh.
she first came out from Scotland,
Oh,
because they wanted to go on a trip with my in-laws, and they couldn't find anybody to look after their 4 darling children.
oh
And
Lord.
my aunt did.
Oh,
She quite enjoyed it.
Did
They were
she?
a bit of a handful, I think.
oh, they,
Two boys
yeah.
and 2 girls. Yeah.
I can imagine that they were. Well, one day Dave, he used to pop around, and we have the windows. The machine one was, well, I guess where you were from, but there was a window open and they'd deliver stuff. And somebody said, Dave Tribes, he's here. So we went and grabbed a jug and filled it with water. I heard him screaming.
Did you work in the machine room?
Yeah, I
Yes,
did.
That's where I worked.
Yeah, that's where I started. Imagine not knowing anything about anything. But
Sometimes that works out right.
whose place did I take? Betty? Oh,
Staying.
oh
Staying.
you got it. Oh, did you take her place? I took her place.
No, she was a
She
head cashier next to Ken.
No, she worked with me a little bit.
Yeah, she was
She-
a smart girl. She was right on the bed.
Was she?
She was a bit too
Well,
fast for
then
me.
they hired double me. Yeah, I think John Tribe was very good. He was
He
very
scared
good to
me
me.
though. He was so stern.
Oh yeah, but we used to go out. We kind of formed golfing
Oh, yes.
kind of things.
So you knew him personally.
Well,
as
yeah,
well
a
as-
little bit. But still, you're sure.
Yeah.
You're never sure that he was making fun. You know.
Well, they
But
went on a few trips with the Bulls, I think.
oh,
They went down to San Francisco once
Oh.
anyway, and they went somewhere else with them.
well, Kay was just his
Yes.
wife.
Yes.
She would laugh till she was crying. You know. Yeah, she was fun to be around.
How did Dave drive do?
He did the garbage.
No, there was something there that was just maybe something, maybe it was knitting because I know he was selling some of his sweaters.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what he,
Yeah, that's where his mother lived. Well, I used to see.
I broke myself.
I had a good friend up at Courtney, and I used to see Kay when I went up there, if she was there. But she wasn't living there, she was living down here still. But I knew her housework. And they had a store, I think. Arab people, and they were right on the edge of the golf course there many moons ago, yeah. Yeah, but they were actually, I know it's John Tribe, but you could have fun, you know, out of the office.
Yes. And I like the way we all sat around the council table
Yeah,
and learned how to knit and crochet if you didn't already know. And there was no place to go spend your money. So you just...
no, there was nothing.
And we just gabbed away, and, you know,
Yeah.
the older ones taught the younger ones. And,
Well, you knew the Pimlots, didn't you? You must have.
well,
The
Mary
store.
Ann Pimlott I went to school with.
Yeah.
But she was a bit younger than me, a year or two, I think.
Yeah, it's amazing when you get talking. And when I first moved into Berwick, I had a friend there, which was a godsend. And so she said, I know you know this man. And that was Norm Pimlott. He was sitting in the pub there, and I couldn't believe him. I thought all of them were dead. So anyway, we became quite friendly, you know. So we got talking about remember this, remember that. You know, we're lucky right now to have two local, well, I think there's 3 of us that are born and lived in Rug. You know, so I watch every time anybody new comes in to see if they're one of us, you know. And well, for a while Norm and I were the only 2 locals. And then who came in? Somebody else came in. And that was quite an event, you know, to have another
Yes.
local. You know, I'd look every time to see, I was sure I was going to see somebody that I went to school with or whatever. But no, I don't know what they did with it, but they just kind of decided to open it up a bit and sell wine, and that's wonderful. It's so quiet out there to have a meal. And the other night there's 4 or 5 of us women, and after eating, and we're sitting around chatting, and we said we better go. It was quiet. We walked out, and there was nobody there. All the staff had gone. And
Oh, that's good.
they were very nice. They never said a word. They just cleaned up and went. So
And
they're wonderful
Yeah, they
to.
are.
They look after the people, and the service is terrific. Yeah. I mean, they must have wild stories of kids, young kids that go home, and you'll never believe that old lady. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. But anyway, they're all very nice.
Thank you, Pat, for doing this for us.
Oh, you're welcome.
That's great.
I'm surprised that I got talking so much.
I think you're wonderful.
I did
I
think
think it'll trigger more memories, you know, all of a sudden that.
No, it's 2 o'clock in the morning.
I'll come back and I think, oh, I should have told them this.
Yeah, well, I've heard names here. I've forgotten, you know. And I was looking at pictures, and I thought, oh my gosh, I wonder if they're still around. You forget considerably.